Good day, everyone, and welcome to the PTSD Buddies podcast. I'm your host, Jamie McWhorter. PTSD Buddies is a nonprofit organization that helps people dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD Buddies provides online support through Facebook groups, and we currently have thousands of members all over the world. This podcast is dedicated to those members of PTSD Buddies, and these are their stories. On this episode of the PTSD Buddies podcast, I talked to Audrey from Tennessee, U.S.A. Now, Audrey tells an incredible story. Audrey was sexually abused by her father starting at the age of 4. And this went on for many years, and until the day she confronted her father at the age of 18, or as she calls it, the day Pandora's box was open. And she tells an incredible story going from that to becoming an incredible mother herself and taking care of her own kids. So stay tuned, because coming up next, Audrey from Tennessee. The PTSD Buddies podcast is proud to be sponsored by the Tema Foundation. The Tema Foundation is a nonprofit organization in Canada that focuses on mental health and wellness for frontline workers, first responders, healthcare professionals, public safety personnel, and the important people in our lives. They do so by developing educational programs and partnering with like-minded organizations. The Tema Foundation is able to deliver impactful education to individuals and businesses who operate on the front lines of civilian and military life. PTSD Buddies podcast is proud to be sponsored by Spartan Wellness. Spartan Wellness is a Canadian organization, and I'm proud to say that I'm a member of Spartan Wellness. I use medical cannabis, and one of the things that Spartan Wellness does is help people, Canadians, get medical cannabis if they need it. You don't need to be just a veteran or a member of the RCMP. They'll help anybody get medical cannabis. Now, that's not the only thing they do. As a veteran, they also will help veterans deal with Veterans Affairs. Veterans Affairs can sometimes get a little confusing with different. Now, this is not against Veterans Affairs themselves. They're a great organization, but sometimes veterans can get a little confused with filling out forms and everything, and Spartan Wellness is there to assist with that. They also assist with insurance and rehab platforms. They can help assist you with Veterans Affairs and setting up with your Blue Cross provider. Not only do they help you with getting your medical cannabis prescription, they'll help you pick out the right licensed producer for you, because Spartan Wellness works with all the medical cannabis producers out there, and they can help you pick the right one for you. They also provide lots of medical cannabis education. So maybe you're not sure if medical cannabis is right for you. They're here to provide all the education you need and answer any questions you have. And they'll even help you get all registered with that licensed producer once you choose it. Okay? So check out Spartan Wellness at spartanwellness.ca. They are a great team. Cheers. Good day, PTSD Buddies, and I am back with another great PTSD Buddy podcast episode, and I'm with another member of PTSD Buddies. Her name is Audrey, and she lives down in Tennessee. Audrey, how is it going down in Tennessee today?
Oh, it's going good today. It's hot here. Let me tell you, I'm burning up.
I bet. I have to say, Tennessee is a place I've always wanted to visit.
Well, come visit.
I really hope I do. Me and my wife always want to go down there.
It's beautiful. Now I live in the flats of the state, but if you go towards East Memphis, it's more, nature and hills and just more scenic.
No, it sounds beautiful. Yeah, I'm all about the scenic views. So, Audrey, you've been dealing with PTSD, same as I have. How did PTSD enter your life?
PTSD entered my life when I was 4 years old.
4 years old?
4 years old.
So you've been dealing with PTSD for quite a while.
For my whole life.
Yeah. Do you even remember a time that PTSD wasn't a part of your life?
No, to be honest with you, I really don't.
No, at 4 years old, it entered your life.
4 years old.
Unbelievable. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so sorry to hear that at such a young age.
Yes. Yes. And I do not wish it on anybody. I really don't.
No, that is far too young to go through any kind of trauma.
Right.
At, and at what age did you notice a difference?
I was in my teenage years and I knew I was getting more sad and more anxious. And, I just have had to, and little things would keep creeping up and I would bury them again. And I was like, something's not right. And I'd go to the doctor, they put you on medicine. It would help for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, you would tank again. And that wasn't helping.
Yeah,
Um, so it's just been a constant struggle. And then when 6 years ago is when Pandora's box officially blew open, so to speak, and everything came out, and
really.
there was no stopping it.
Yeah, that sounds heavy. Pandora's box
Yes,
opens. Yeah.
so it was rough, but I mean, I got through it. My husband really um, got me the right treatment I needed, and since then I've just been embracing my whole new life.
So at 14, you started noticing a change. Was there any kind of help out there at age 14?
No, because my mother would be like, "Well, just suck it up. You're only sad for a little bit. Just suck it up." And then I think it was when I was 16, 17 years old, I went to the doctor, and the doctor is the one that started putting me on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications. And of course, I turned around and got married at 18, and we didn't have the money.
Yeah.
So I basically had to deal with it on my own.
Wow. That had to feel pretty alone.
It was, up until, and I did wind up divorcing that man. And I've pretty much dealt with this on my own until I married my husband.
Yeah. So at age 14, they were telling you had depression, or they were just telling you felt sad.
The doctor kept telling my parents it was depression
Yeah.
and to watch me. And my mother and father both were anti medication.
Yeah. Okay.
And, they were like, she's not going on anything. She'll suck it up. She's just throwing a temper tantrum. And I was looking at these people like, no, I seriously need help here.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, being a teenager, you kind of got to do what the parents say.
Did your parents understand PTSD, or did they understand your trauma?
You know, Pandora's box officially kind of cracked open when I was 18. And when I confronted my abuser, it quickly got shut down again by my mother.
So you confronted your abuser at 18.
At 18, I got right up in their face,
Wow.
confronted them, never batted an eye, and I was told to go straight to my room and stay there.
Wow.
Yes.
First of all, good for you for standing up.
Yeah.
That
So
shows
when
tremendous
things,
strength.
yeah, it's hard.
I
And
bet it
then
was.
when my abuser was dying, I was able to talk to them again and just let everything out.
Wow.
Yes.
What was their response?
Well, so that's the thing is my abuser was unconscious, but my therapist said, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me. So whether he responds or not, I'm still getting it out there because he can still hear me.
Yeah. Did it feel like you were getting it off your chest?
I did. And, when I did it, I felt alive and free finally. Like, it's not my fault.
No.
This is something that they're going to have to carry on into their next life.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let them pay the piper.
So your mom didn't believe?
No. My mom did not believe me until maybe 4 years ago. And the only reason she did then is because my sister 100% backed my story.
Okay. Well, how did it feel when she finally believed? What was that? What kind of conversation was that?
Well, we were talking, and then about it, and it was almost like she wanted to believe it, but then again, she really didn't. And she was only giving me the answer she thought I wanted to hear and not her true feelings.
Wow. Like, why would she think you were lying? I don't.
I did, yeah. I mean, because, it was my father. So this was the man that she was, and she stayed with him.
Oh, man. That must have been so hard for you.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, since then my mother passed, and then when she passed, I really think that's when I really flourished and became the woman I am now.
Really, hey?
Yes,
Wow. So it was almost like you felt held down by them.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. And I went no contact for like 3 years.
Really,
And
hey?
during that 3 years, I changed my name completely
Okay.
and took them off my birth certificate.
Yep. You just had to get
So
away.
I had to take care of me, not them.
Yep.
They didn't do a good job at protecting me, so why should I give a shit if I hurt their feelings?
Yeah, protect you. They didn't even believe you.
No, exactly.
Wow,
You're
man.
not believing that this happened to me, and yet you're also abusing me because you're mentally abusing me.
Yeah. To be,
And it was hard.
I bet. Oh my goodness. To be a child and to be scared in your own home. That's where you should feel safe, is at
The
your home,
safest.
right?
Exactly.
And you weren't even
Exactly.
feeling safe with your own parents. I can't
Mm-mm.
imagine that. I can't
No,
imagine what a child goes through by being fearful of their own home and their own parents. Like, where does a child feel safe then?
exactly. And the only place I felt safe was at my grandparents', but I also knew that I would have to go home eventually.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's been a tough life, but it made me the person I am today.
Do you still go through triggers from this?
The only time I do is if my husband approaches me and touches me without saying, "Can I give you a hug?"
Right. Yeah.
Or if I feel crowded.
I guess he knows what triggers you, does he?
He does. He
Yeah.
does. He does. And it makes him angry. And I look back at it, and it's hard on him.
Sure. Sure it is.
You know, so part of my therapy, he had to go to therapy too to learn how to deal with me.
Okay.
So with that, I mean, we've always had a great relationship, but it brought us closer because now he can look at me and go, "Ooh, you're having a bad day. Go sit down, snuggle the dog, just relax your mind." And he knows what to do to bring me back and reset.
He's your service human, like a service dog.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. I'm married. I have a great wife who's a great support for me too with my PTSD. She's amazing, and so I totally get it. And then it's amazing that he took the time to get the training and everything. Hey,
Yeah, so, I do, anybody going into trauma therapy, if they're in a relationship, their spouse really needs to go too, because they need to learn how to handle us at our, in our moments.
sure, 100%. I did a podcast with a gentleman, Tristan from Australia, and he says the same thing about his daughter. His daughter helps him every day with his PTSD.
Right.
Yeah,
It's rough, and it's hard on them, because even now he'll go, but I don't understand. And I go, I know it's not for you to understand, but you just got to help me.
yeah, yeah. That's great, though. I mean, it sounds like you two are a good pair.
We are 20 years together.
20 years. Wow.
Yes. And my mother, when we got married, stood up in front of his family, and his family is very affluent. And she goes, "This marriage won't last 6 months. You wait and see."
Wow.
And so when she died, I did go to her bedside. Um, I did not want to, but I did. And I looked at her and I said, "Hey, guess what? We'll be married 21 years this year." And she just glared at me like, "I can't believe you said that to me."
Yeah.
But I had to get that last little dig in, so to speak.
Sure. Why not? It's not like she didn't get her digs in.
Oh, she got plenty of digs in, trust me.
Yeah, I believe it. Dealing with PTSD over all these years, you must have some amazing stories.
I do. I remember just feeling hopeless and not wanting to live. And, you know, I mean, I contemplated ending my life at one point, but then I couldn't do that to my child, or I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it for my abusers, because that's what they wanted me to do.
Yeah. And if you would have did that too, I mean, I don't think the pain really would have went away. It would have been just left for your husband and your child to bear.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know what? I fought and I fought and I fought. Um, I think at my worst, after Pandora's box blew open, I did go into therapy, and extensive therapy. And the following year, I just knew something else wasn't quite right. And I started hallucinating.
Really? Holy
And I
crap.
thought there was men's shoes, and there was legs attached, but I couldn't see a face.
Okay.
And so every time I turned around, there was these brown loafers.
Wow.
And I'd be like, I'd tell my husband, can you, whose shoes? And he'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I'd be like, those shoes right there, do you not see them? Because to me, that was just vivid.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my, here we go again, you know?
Yeah.
And it took me, and I fought him tooth and nail. I'm not crazy. They're really there. And he did the research and got me into another therapy group. And I continued. I want you to know, I worked during both their intensive therapies. It was like a 12-week program. And of course, it was outpatient. But I would work as a nurse, go to my therapy group for 4 hours, and then come back and finish my shift. I never missed a day of work dealing with this. Never.
Wow. Not many people with PTSD can say that.
No, I know. But it was just that fight in me, and I think that will to want to get better.
Yeah. You had good reasons to get better too. You had a great family support.
I do. I do. And, I've got my grandbabies now, and, the abusers are gone. So, I told my sister, I was like, you can continue fighting what you're fighting, because she's never went to therapy, and she really needs it.
Right.
But I told her, I said, as long as you remain stuck where you are, you're not good for me, because you'll drag me down.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. If you're not good, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be any good to anyone else.
Right. And that's what I told her. I said, you can't call me every other day with one of your breakdowns and expect me to help you, because if I can't help you if you're not willing to help yourself.
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to set that boundary with her. And I talked to her last week, and she just had her first therapy session. And I told her, I said, until I know 100% that you're committed, this is how it's going to go with me.
That's amazing, Audrey, that you can see how the situation is turning, and you set up boundaries to protect yourself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do that with everybody.
Is that something you do, or is that something you've been trained to do? Because that's really smart.
No, I never set boundaries until I went to my first therapy session. And then after that, if you're going to raise your voice at me, we're getting that boundary set up quickly.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you raise your voice to me, I know I don't even really understand what you're saying anymore. I just start going, why is this guy yelling at me?
Right. Yeah, we kind of just, we disassociate ourselves.
Sure.
We just numb out. Yep. That's what we know.
Exactly.
So I set boundaries with everybody. My job, my friends, my husband, my kids. Now, the only thing I don't set boundaries with is the dog. And, to me, that's my saving grace right there. Okay. I'm not going to lie.
Nice. Setting up boundaries, is that like I guess that would be like is that like a grounding technique that you use?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Because, I've had friends that are very toxic to me. And, I'm just out there with it. Hey, look, that you can't be this way with me. And if you can't respect me, then you got to go. Yeah. And I've lost probably 20, 25 friends in the past 5 years because of that.
Really, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like draining to you?
They're draining. They're very narcissistic. It's all about them. And, some of them think I'm just bona fide crazy.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't have PTSD because you weren't in the war.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Yes, you can. It just takes going through trauma.
Yeah.
Right? Trauma.
And that's what I tell them. I said, you go through a trauma and you can have PTSD. And one of the ladies' husbands goes, well, I fell down the stairs once and I think I got PTSD from that. Okay. And I looked at him blank. And I'm like, are you an idiot?
Yeah, and it's not really how it happens.
I said, no, that's not what I'm talking about. He goes, but I've got anxiety with stairs. I said, well, okay, there's a difference between anxiety and PTSD. Come on. So yeah, they exited my life real quick.
Are you lying up? Are you lying up every night thinking about stairs? Not being able to sleep because of stairs? Right?
Are they haunting you every night?
Do you dream of stairs and then accidentally hit your spouse at night because of stairs?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
God.
Have you crashed into a ditch thinking about stairs?
Yeah.
Yeah. You must really hate the gym and see those guys on the Stairmaster.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. When he said that night, I just had to look at him and I go, "You are a blooming idiot. You really are." I said, "For a man that has a master's and 2 other bachelor degrees, you're an idiot."
Yeah, it must get frustrating, hey?
It does. It does. But, I mean, it's our job, I feel, and part of our journey is to educate people
Right.
and let them know, hey, this is why I have PTSD. This is what PTSD looks like.
Yep.
We're not crazy. We're normal human beings that have been dealt a shitty hand.
Yep.
But they just, and I've got some really good friends that totally support me. We've shed a lot of tears, and, those are the people that I need in my life.
Yeah, I call them the people that I call them vampires. They're the friends that you hang out with, and as you talk to them, you just get so tired and drained, and
Yes,
oh, and you
yes,
know it too. Even before you go to see them, you're like, oh, we're gonna go see Peter. Oh
right.
Jesus, I need to smoke a marijuana joint before I go see that guy. My God, right?
Let me just get in my own little world before we have to do this shit because this is gonna suck.
Yeah, because you walk up to Peter and Peter go, "How you doing?" You go, "Well, I only got like 5 hours sleep." You think you got it bad? Blah 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 blah. Like some people just have to top whatever bad things that are
Right,
happening to you, right? No,
right,
we're not pitying you, Audrey. Let's pity me.
right, right.
Yeah.
And that's what this certain couple that we used to associate ourselves with, and I let my husband deal with them now. He went to see them this weekend. I stayed home. I'm like, I cannot be around them. I
Yep.
cannot be around fake.
Yep.
I said, because I know me, I'm going to say
I was
something.
about to ask you, do you call people on it?
Oh, I call them out all the time. And I do not mince my words very nicely at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be a doormat.
Really, eh?
And now, I will just come out with it and I don't care. But I thought, I didn't have a voice for over 50 years. And damn it, I got my voice now and you're going to hear me.
Did all that change with that Pandora's box that you're talking about?
It did when
Yeah.
Pandora's box
What a
blew.
day that must
It
have
was
been.
over.
Man, what a day that must have been.
It was something else. And I mean, I remember sitting in therapy and this girl hardly talked and we had to tell our story. It was, write our narrative and tell it to the group. And there was 6 of us in our group and this girl hardly ever said anything. So I read my story and then she read hers the next week. Her story was verbatim what my story was.
Really?
And I looked over at her and I went, You totally stole my story. And I said, that's not cool. How are you getting better?
Yeah.
I said, the only thing is you changed a few things that could have been true. I'm not here to call anybody a liar. I'm not.
Yeah.
But what's the chances of the same trauma happening at the age of 4 until you're 16? I mean, come on.
Yep.
It does not happen. And, she looked at me and she goes, Excuse me? And I said, You heard me. I mean, I'm sorry. And she says, Well, I'll meet your ass outside
No
afterwards.
way.
And I said, Well, take care of it now because I really don't give a shit.
Wow. Fight breaking out at a PTSD group.
Yeah, we were about ready to scrap.
Wow.
And the therapist goes, now, ladies.
Yeah.
And I go, no, the bitch needs to be honest because I sat here and poured my heart out in order to be better. But is she a fake, or did you plant her here to fill up the group?
Yeah. Yep.
So I went after the therapist too, and probably shouldn't have, but hey, it was already out there.
Wow, you really are not taking any more crap,
I
are
don't
you?
I don't take any crap.
Yeah. The crap bucket is full on Audrey.
Exactly. It
Yep.
has run over. Everything has busted. And I mean, I've done it with bosses at my last job. I did not get fired because of it, but I didn't take her crap either.
Audrey, you've dealt with PTSD for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
What if there was a kid out there now listening to this and they were going through something like what you went through?
Correct.
What could they do?
I would go to somebody and tell somebody and keep going to people until someone listens to you. Don't wait until you're in your 50s to deal with this because it's not going to get any better and it gets worse, to be honest. But keep going to people. If you have to, go to a teacher, go to, you know, the police officer at the school if the schools are in session. But there's people out there, but keep your voice. Don't hide it because it's not your fault.
I'm getting emotional just listening to you talk, Audrey, because I think about I'm a father. I have kids.
Right. Yeah.
So I can't imagine my kids going through any kind of trauma like that.
It's hard, and and I'm a mom.
Yeah.
And so when I became a mom, I protected my children at all costs.
I bet you did.
And I drilled in them, hey, look, if anybody ever does anything to you, you come to me and let mom deal with it. Don't be afraid.
Yep.
And you know what? My kids would do it.
Yep. Yeah. I know my wife is one of the nicest women I've ever met in this world, but if you cross or you go against her children, she's one of the scariest women in the world.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen her lose it on people. We had a close call years ago where the bus stopped in front of our house to pick up our son, and the stop sign of the bus came out, and this guy drove past the stop sign and almost hit our son.
No.
Well, holy moly! I see my wife turn from nice little, wifey to like She-Ra. Man, she was gonna flip that car over.
Right?
Yeah.
And we do. We become kind of.
Well, don't
I
mess.
don't know.
You don't mess with a mother and her cubs.
No. And you know what? I will still do it this day. My children are married. They've got their own families. But I've told both of their spouses. I've got a daughter and a son.
Yeah.
And I've told them, you mess with my kids or you mess with my grandkids, and you will wish you had never met me.
Yeah. The claws come out, eh?
Exactly. And my son-in-law has seen it once, unfortunately. And now he's walking that straight line. He says, you're scary. I said, well, don't mess with my kid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can be the sweetest mother-in-law you've ever had, but you mess with my baby, and I'll beat your ass.
Well, so it doesn't matter how old they get. A lot of times you still see them as that little kid.
Yeah.
Can't help it sometimes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Audrey, if you could go back in time to yourself as a kid, is there anything you would say to yourself?
I would continually tell myself that it was not my fault, because I lived with the guilt forever, thinking it was my fault for putting myself in
Really?
that situation when I had really no control over it, but that's what I believed.
That's something I've heard a few times from people with similar stories like you're telling, Audrey, that they blame themselves. It was their fault.
Right, right.
And I, it's I that really floors me, because the last thing I pictured is your fault.
Right.
All right, I'm on the
And
outside
it
looking in,
took a
mind you.
long time for me to believe, hey, it wasn't my fault.
It wasn't.
You know,
Audrey, you were 4 years old, Audrey.
I know I didn't have a choice.
What the hell was your fault at 4 years old?
Right.
At
But
five
see,
years
I
old? At
believed
6 years
it.
old?
I mean, I really didn't even have a choice at 10. I mean, at 4 years old, especially.
Yep. You're just a baby.
Yes, I was a baby.
You had to
I
grow up.
was a baby.
You had to grow up way too fast.
Yep, I did. I became an adult overnight. And, I look back on things, and I've talked to a few other people in my family, and they're like, hold on, let me process this. And, I've had a few other family members tell me the same thing happened to them by my father.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't even imagine what went through your head.
I was like, hold on, this is my parents. They're supposed to love me. And you're his sister, but you're telling me the same thing happened to you by him.
And yet your mom didn't believe it.
My mom never believed it. No. And here's the kicker, now that I look back on it. When they got married, my mother was 15. My father was 28.
Oh.
Red flag.
Yep.
Red flag. And
Oof.
she stayed with him until the day he died.
Wow.
Now, she was not there when he took his last breath. I was there when he took his last breath. Yeah, so it was, when things start coming out, it kind of blows your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
You're like, this is a fucked up family. I am not going to lie. It's a messed up family.
Messed up family, you're saying, Audrey, but a lot of love and a lot of good things have come out of it. Look at your
It
family now.
has.
Look at
It
look at
has.
the wonderful children you have.
Yes.
All right?
Yes. And, and I mean, now that I look back, I'm like, that was my past life. That was I don't even know what to call it. That was my dark, dark life.
Yeah.
But now I've got a beautiful life with beautiful kids, grandkids, a husband that adores me. I mean, what more could a woman want? And even when I was battling everything, I had divorced my daughter's father and put myself through nursing school.
Really? You put yourself through nursing school?
I put myself through nursing school, so I have my bachelor's and never once asked for help.
You have a
Never once.
bachelor's.
Yes,
Audrey, you
I
need to write a
do.
book.
I know, right?
You need to write a book. My goodness, you are a success story.
Yes. And I graduated in the top 1/3 of my class.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
Your family must be proud.
they are. They are. Even my sister has a bachelor's. She has PTSD, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
But she's got a bachelor's. She's got, she has a great job. I have a great job. And I mean, we both have wonderful spouses and kids.
Yeah.
So really nothing nothing gets to us. Like, we keep fighting.
Wonder how many times your mother rolled over when you got that bachelor.
I know, right? She was probably like, well, she kept telling me that I would never finish. Because she just passed away last year. So.
Man, all she tried to do was trip you up.
Huh?
All she wanted to do was trip you up, eh?
Yeah. But I almost believed her that I wasn't good enough to be a nurse. And then when I would get I'd get a job and she'd be like, you hate that job. You hate that job. And I'd be like, I don't really hate this job. I really like it.
What? What? Your mother is so negative. I can't help but giggle at it a little bit. Like, Mom,
no, to know her though, that was her.
Man.
Negative about everything. If I bought a brand new car, she bought a brand new car. If I bought my house, she never bought another house. Their house is still standing, but she wanted something bigger and better.
Yeah.
And when I married my husband, we bought our home. My mother never ever knew where I lived. Never once saw my home. Didn't want to be a part of it. And she was like, well, that's because, he's trying to be better than everybody else. Well, no, not really. It's just a house, Mom, but I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
So, and then when she did remarry, a couple of years before she passed, she'd be like, she would mock her husband because he was bipolar.
Wow.
And I remember her calling me up and she goes, now the only reason I'm marrying him is because he's bipolar. And I was like, but that's not a sin, Mother. I mean, and that's kind of a crappy thing to say. Do you not love this man?
Wow.
And she goes, yeah, I kind of like him, but he's bipolar. And I go, wait a minute. And then I remember her telling me, she says, maybe that's what's wrong with you. Maybe you don't have PTSD. Maybe you have bipolar. And I go, no, Mother, I don't.
What's wrong with me? Man, Mother, what's wrong with you?
Right? And she goes, well, how many medicines are you on right now? I said, to be honest, Mother, I'm not taking anything. I mean, I don't need to. And she goes, I think you need to go to a different doctor because I think you're bipolar just like him. And I go, oh my God, really? This woman is determined to diagnose me now. And then,
oh my gosh, she's a trigger.
Oh yeah, she was a huge trigger. She was huge for me.
Oh my God.
And because my husband would come home, he would leave for work in the mornings, and I'd be, just in a great mood, feeling good. He'd come home from work later that day, and I'd just be just a hot mess.
Right.
And he goes, great, you talk to your mother again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I did. He goes, when are you going to learn? I said, at the end of the day, that is my mother.
Yeah.
And he goes, I understand. However, this is what these people did to you. And I was like, I know I don't need to be reminded. I live with it every day. So yeah, she was huge. She was bad for me.
Yeah, she never believed anything you said, and everything you tried to do. She said, "Oh, that's not gonna. No, your marriage is not gonna work. No, you're not gonna finish school. No,
right.
No."
Yeah, she was bad. And then when I told her I changed my name,
yep.
She just, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do that. And I was like, too late. I did. Mm-hmm. I went this morning at 9:00 to court and did it. Oh my God, I'm your mother. No, you're not.
Yeah. I got a big, long, huge last name too, Mom, so you can't find me in the phone book.
I did. And then to be a bitch, what I did was I made a copy of my new birth certificate with their names off of it, and I certified and mailed it to her.
Oh,
Let me just like seal the deal.
yep,
I mean, but when I did that, that was a big shift in me. It really was, because I took back the control that I needed.
yep. You did. Like you were saying, once you hit that boiling point, you made a big switch in your life and in
Hmm.
the person you were.
Oh yeah, I am totally not the person I was, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, the anxiety is a lot less. The depression is a lot less. And yes, do I still get depressed? Absolutely.
yep,
Do I still get anxious? Absolutely.
yep.
But my triggers are less. The night terrors, I can't tell you the last time I had a night terror.
Really, that's great to hear.
Now, now I do take a prazosin around holidays, birthdays, just because I don't know how I'm going to react.
Okay.
I'm not quite comfortable with some of those situations.
Yep. Okay.
So I do take my prazosin about a week prior to, and then I'll usually stay on it for about another week or two, and then I'm good. I'm back to being me.
Audrey, I gotta say, you're one of the when it comes to knowing what you need, and when it comes to really taking control of your life again, you're one of the best I've ever heard of doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I know what I have to do to stay healthy. Um, Now, what I had been struggling with over the past couple of years was an eating disorder.
Okay.
And we did discover that that is part of my trauma,
Okay.
that it's a form of self harm.
Gotcha.
I deprive myself of the food oftentimes, but not able to recognize why I was doing it.
Okay.
So, up until I want to say November of last year is when I got diagnosed with the eating disorder. And ever since then, since November, I have gained 15 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
I'm still I'm still tiny. I'm not, I'm healthy, and I can, if I don't want to eat like a full lunch, I can snack at lunch now and I'm okay.
You Tennessee people are known for your cooking too.
I
So to
know.
have a eating disorder down there, that just doesn't sound proper.
No, it's not. It really isn't, because we love to fry everything.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, we fry everything. Butter. We have our 3 meals a day.
Mm,
You know, but me, I was like, okay, I'll cook, but I'm not gonna eat it.
yeah. So you
And
just cook. Well, your husband must love
I
that.
was what?
Yeah.
It was. I got really good at hiding. Like, I knew I could put stuff in the garbage disposal
Yep.
and get away with it.
Yep.
And not the eating disorder kind of took a mind of its own, kind of took over. And
Wow.
so now I know, okay, I get up, I've got to eat,
Yep.
and then 3 hours later I got to eat again.
Yep.
So I've got on a schedule, and I really feel so much better.
Wicked. That's so good to hear. I've talked to other people with PTSD, and they find routine really helps.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I do not like I like everything laid out. Don't surprise me at the last minute. None of us ever adapt to change well, but it really sets my mind in a tailspin
Really.
if I do not, if everything is not perfect in my eyes.
Okay.
Um, and I really feel like maybe I'm OCD. but I haven't been officially diagnosed with it.
Well, that kind of, a lot of people with PTSD kind of have that too. Like everything has to be in a certain place,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Clutter is a bad thing with a lot of
Oh
people with
gosh.
PTSD. We don't like clutter.
No, no, no. Like you can open up my pantry and everything is, my canned goods are all in a row. Nothing is on the floor. You got to shut the cabinet doors as soon as you get something out.
Yeah, all military like.
Yes. Or my towels have to be folded a certain way.
Yep, yep. And you can't walk away without it being done that way.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I get it.
no. Yeah. So we kind of, my husband, thankfully, is kind of the same way, but he can handle a little bit of clutter. But me, everything's got to be even numbers and nice and clean.
Yep.
Otherwise, everything is getting thrown away or I'm re-cleaning for hours because nothing is good enough at that point.
Yeah. I know. I'm the same way with certain things. I'm ex-military, so that doesn't help either. And my wife is like you. Everything has a place. My wife is all about organizing.
Right. And people have accused me. They're like, did you grow up in a military background or something? Yeah. And I'm like, no.
No.
But it calms my mind. It keeps me calm.
Yep. Yeah. Because you'll lay in bed thinking about it if you don't do it.
Oh, yes. And there will be no sleep because you will sit there and it will go through your mind. And, I recently took a new job and I didn't want to keep emailing the people, but they weren't giving me the answers I needed in the time that I needed. And I'm like, so what time are we starting Monday? And, what do I do? And they weren't getting back to me. And I laid in bed that night going, I don't have a job. I just quit my job for this job. And these people don't even care. And I remember waking my husband up that night. And he goes, what? And I go, I think I made a big mistake. And he goes, why? I said, because they didn't email me. He goes, but they did. And I said, but she didn't answer the way I needed her to answer. He goes, what did you want her to do? And I said, I wanted her to say, yes, Audrey, you start Monday at 9 a.m. All she put in her email was yes. And I said, so do I start Monday 9 a.m. or do I start Monday at 10 a.m.? Which is it? And he goes, but they already told you the hours. I said, but I needed her to tell me 9 a.m. again.
Yeah, you needed confirmation. Yeah.
And he was like, would you please lay down and go to sleep? I said, I can. He goes, it's 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, your husband is awesome.
He is. I mean, like I told him, I said, very few men would put up with the craziness that I've put him through. They would have already bailed. I mean, I know if I hadn't divorced my first husband, that man would have been gone.
Yeah.
The minute Pandora's box opened up. And, I mean, this man has been a saint to me. He really has.
Yeah.
Even when, I approached him and said, hey, look, I think I kind of want to change my name.
Yeah.
You know what he sat there and he goes, let's pick a name out together. But you have the final say on what you think your name should be. And we sat there for days, thinking of names. And he would call me up and he'd be like, hey, Gretchen. And I was like, no, it's not. No, Gretchen's not going to work. And, I think a lot of spouses would have been dead set against it.
You're probably right.
And, after I did it legally, he has never once slipped and called me my old name.
Boy, he's good. Okay, now listen, you're painting him up pretty big. He's starting to become a hard act to follow.
He has never once. He goes, "That's your name, and that's what I expect my family to call you. That's what I expect our friends to call you."
Yep.
And he goes, and he will put people in their place now if they slip. And his mother slips a lot. And, I just kind of tuned it out. I was like, well, I can't expect her to change overnight.
No.
But he gets all over. He goes, "That's not her name. Please quit calling her that." And she goes, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, And she'll turn around and she'll do it again, and it just infuriates him. He's like, "Well, I guess we'll go home now." And he'll be like, "My mother." And I said, "Please don't say nothing bad about your mother, because your mother is a good woman."
Yeah. It's one thing if she's not trying it, right? If she's not trying it, then you can't get too mad.
Right. And she tries. I mean, bless her. I mean, I know it's hard.
Yeah.
You knew me at my old name, and then all of a sudden I'm calling you up going, "Yeah, so I did this thing today."
Yeah.
It kind of floored the family a little bit. I am not gonna lie. But hey, I did it, and I'm a happier person because of it.
And that's the main thing right there.
His family does want to know the details on why I did it.
Yep.
And I told him that I will leave no matter how good of a man he is, but it is not his story to tell.
Yep.
That when I get ready, and if I feel comfortable doing it, I will tell them. But until then, they do not need to know a thing.
Right on.
And he respects me for that.
And that he should. And any good man would, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, our stories are our stories. It's for nobody else to tell.
Sure. Well, that's why when we talked about this podcast, doing this episode together, I explained to you, this is about you.
Right.
One of your first questions was, how long will this take? I said, well, that depends how long you want to talk. It depends on how much you want to share. Right.
And see, and that was the little OCD in me coming out a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, hey, I kind of need to know what to expect here.
Audrey, almost every person I've done this podcast with has asked that question.
Really?
Yep. Because people with PTSD don't like to walk into a strange, let's say, building.
Correct.
We like to do a recce first,
Mm-hmm.
Right? We want to know everything that's going to happen up front.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Exactly. And I understand.
Yeah, we don't want to be blindsided.
No, because that could be triggering, and you could get us just disappearing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when I go to doctors or new doctors, and I'll tell them right up front, look, I have PTSD, so before you do anything, you better tell me you better tell me exactly what to expect.
Yep. Be up front.
And they're like, "Oh, okay." And I go, "Well, don't look at me like I got a third eye or something, because hey, I'm good." But a lot of people, I think, are scared of us. I mean, I guess.
Well, a lot of people aren't educated in PTSD, so I don't think there is. Well, some could be scared of us. You're right. I think a lot of them are. They don't know.
They're just ignorant.
They think they have to act differently around people with PTSD.
Right, like they have to tiptoe around us.
Exactly. Like a person with PTSD is walking around with a bag of eggshells and they're flicking it everywhere, so don't step anywhere near us. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No. That's the worst thing you could do with somebody with PTSD. I know I have friends who are in wheelchairs, And my God, if you treat them like a person in a wheelchair, they're all over me.
Right.
You need help doing it? Don't fuck. I don't need no fucking help. What do you? I can do this myself.
I
Okay,
can do it
Jesus,
myself.
sorry, fucking right.
And that's how we feel.
Yeah.
Don't treat us any different because we're really not.
No.
I mean, we've got the same emotions, the same feelings. We're functional.
Yep.
We're smart.
Yep.
And we're actually, the way I look at it, we're a bunch of warriors. We really are.
Yep.
My husband always tells me, people with PTSD were put on this earth for a reason. And not everybody could handle what we go through on a daily basis.
Yes.
It takes a very strong person to be able to deal with this. It really does. And he's right. I mean, you couldn't take a weak person and let them go through what we go through because they just couldn't do it.
Yeah. A lot of times I know it's called post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't want to change the name. Some people try to change the name, and the only reason why I don't want to change PTSD is I've spent 7 years of my life trying to push PTSD, so it's hard to change the name.
Right?
But I do like PTSS, which is post-traumatic stress survivor.
Yes, perfect. Because we're survivors.
Yes, you've been through trauma. You've changed emotionally as a person, and you're still here. And
Mm-hmm.
Audrey, let me just say, you're not just still here. You're teaching others.
Right.
Right. I guarantee your kids are learning from you. Look what your husband has learned about mental illness since being with you.
Correct.
Right. You're educating the
Yeah.
people around you.
I mean, and that's that, and I feel like that's my purpose in life is to educate.
Yep.
I want people to understand, hey, this is what PTSD looks like. If something traumatic happens, I tell people all the time, you can come to me, you can tell me, and I'm going to believe everything you tell me, and I will get you the help that you need.
And that means a lot to people.
Right.
Because like you, back when you were 4, 5, 6, you didn't know where to turn.
I didn't have nobody.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
And now you're being that someone for others to come to.
Correct.
So you have
I
become...
am quite proud of me.
You should be proud of you. I'm proud of you. You have become exactly what you needed when you were a child.
Correct.
Yeah.
And and I mean, even as a grown adult now, my husband knows that, I never had Christmas growing up as a kid.
Right.
We would wake up Christmas morning, our parents would be gone, the tree would be gone, Santa Claus didn't show up. And I was left taking care of a 5-year-old, which was my sister, because I'd be like 10.
Wow.
And we would have to take care of each other. And, I remember last year was the first year, here I am, 55 years old. Santa came to visit.
Yeah.
And I woke up Christmas Day dreading it, did not want to get out of bed. My husband goes, no, I think you're going to really want to do this. And you know what? It was actually the best Christmas I'd ever had in my life.
Really?
It really was.
That's amazing. Your husband is amazing.
He is. He is an amazing man.
Wow.
And I owe my success to him. I mean, maybe not solely to him because I did most of the work.
Yeah,
but I couldn't have done it without him.
You're definitely a fighter. You did it yourself with good support around you.
Yes.
Yep. So you both should be really proud.
We are.
Yeah. Audrey, it's been awesome talking to you. What an amazing story you tell.
Well, thank you.
I really don't have any other questions, so I'm going to leave the floor to you now. Is there any final thoughts, final tips, or final stories for us?
I just want everybody to know to keep fighting the fight, even on their hardest days. Don't give up. Don't give up ever. And surround yourself with, positive people that are going to support you and pull you through those dark days.
I almost want to play the Rocky Balboa theme music while you're talking. You're right. You're such an amazing fighter, Audrey. I'm proud to know you. I'm proud to call you my PTSD buddy.
Oh, thank you. I've enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I just hate that we've all had to meet this way and, deal with all our dark demons. But, I've learned that some of my best friends, I've met in these groups.
Yes, that's true. I've met some amazing members in this
Mm-hmm.
group. And I've learned so much from the other PTSD buddies too.
Right.
Yeah. I've learned a lot
you
just
can
talking to
build
you.
your strength from them.
It's true. It's true. And I know me, I get inspired and motivated by talking to members and hearing their stories.
Right. Yeah. I listen to some of the other podcasts and I'm like, oh, but it kind of motivated me a little bit more like it does you.
Yeah. Well, it shows that you're not alone.
Exactly. Because we do feel alone. People will go, oh, I understand. No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No.
Because that's the last thing we want to hear is somebody saying they understand when they really don't.
Yeah. I heard somebody say that. You don't understand because if you did understand, you wouldn't say you understood.
Exactly. That's what I told my, a neighbor. She was like, I understand what you're going through. I said, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. I said, did you go through this when you were 4?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Said, okay, then you don't understand.
Yeah. Oh, so tell me about your mother. Your mother must be awesome.
Yeah. Well, my mother baked brownies every day after school, and we had treats, and Mom stayed home, and I'm like, good for you, because my mother didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. But thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I guess they're going to tell me next they have PTSD. I don't know from the damn brownies. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll say they got PTSD from us saying you don't have fucking PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You and your fucking stairs.
Yeah, damn stairs. Oh my God! Every time I see him, I just want to choke him.
Oh, Audrey, you're an awesome lady, Audrey. It was so great talking to you. Thank you so much for doing this.
You are so welcome.
And I know when this episode goes out, people will be inspired by your words.
Oh, well, I hope so. That's what I want. I want people to learn. I want people to know, hey, you know what? If this girl can survive her crap, I can survive mine too.
That's right. Strong words from a strong lady. Audrey, stay on the line there. I just want to say goodbye to our viewers. But
okay.
Thanks again for doing this. Amazing
You are
story.
welcome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the podcast. I know you're probably just as inspired as I am by Audrey and her strength and her amazing story. Special thanks for Audrey for sharing her story with us today. And if you are dealing with PTSD yourself, look for PTSD Buddies on Facebook by joining one of our Facebook groups. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, or check out our PTSD Buddies YouTube channel, created by our PTSD Buddy members with hundreds of helpful videos. Cheers, everybody, and see you at the next episode. Thank Thanks everyone for joining us on this episode of the PTSD Buddies podcast. Hope you enjoyed the show. And if you or someone you know is dealing with PTSD, please look for PTSD Buddies on Facebook. You can join one of our great Facebook groups and get support. You can look for us on Twitter, Instagram, or check out our PTSD Buddies YouTube channel full of hundreds of helpful videos to help you deal with PTSD. Cheers, everybody. Have a great one.